G'day everyone and welcome back to the KooCast. My name is Nick. Alright, so we've got some news this morning. Basically, I woke up and we've got some... I woke up bleary-eyed, checked my phone as I always do, and I'm scrolling through Instagram, and lo and behold, there's a title for Star Wars Episode 9. And I thought, is someone pulling a prank on me? Do we actually have a title? I know Star Wars Celebration is going on right now, but they dropped the title, and it is called, wait for it, Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. Now, there's a lot of obviously, with all the Star Wars titles, there's always a lot of speculation as to what these all mean. We obviously saw Luke Skywalker die in The Last Jedi, and we don't know what Rey's lineage is, even though in The Last Jedi, they did say that she was basically nobody. But I feel like J.J. Abrams is going to fix that issue, I guess, because I think there was some concern that from a lot of the fans that basically they weren't happy about the fact that Rey had no lineage whatsoever. So I think J.J. Abrams is putting that back into the back into the game, because it was a bit of a tease. Like, why did we introduce Rey as somebody who could be important? I mean, it was such a tease, and then in The Last Jedi, they basically said, well, she's nobody. But maybe that was a fake out, and I think all of us were hoping it was a fake out. So maybe if Rian Johnson had his way, he would have continued going down this path, and he had a different idea for where Rey would have gone. But I think in this case, they've obviously listened to the fans. J.J. Abrams is obviously writing a script that's probably more for what the fans liked in The Force Awakens. So hopefully we're going to see a little bit more of where Rey's lineage is from. Look, I'll just briefly go through the trailer because it was really quite interesting. It's basically, if you don't know what's happening at the moment, Star Wars Celebration, which is happening in Chicago this year, actually. It usually happens in Florida, I think. Maybe I'm completely wrong, but I always thought it was in Florida. But this year it's in Chicago, which is kind of cool. And they dropped the trailer this morning, which was quite nice. I was quite excited to see it. It'll be interesting to see where they go with this movie. I think a lot of people who may have been burned by The Last Jedi. I wasn't one of those people. I actually thought there was some merit to some of the movie. There's some bits of the movie I also didn't like. I've talked about this in great detail in previous podcasts, so if you would like to go check that out, you're welcome to do so. But there's some good stuff in this one. I'm excited to see where they're going to take this, and obviously a trailer doesn't really tell you all that much. They could still have a few issues. Obviously, as I've come to terms with the whole Star Wars, this Star Wars saga, there is that issue of where Rey is really seemingly overpowered. Maybe if they can explain it in this episode, I guess maybe all will be forgiven, but she doesn't seem to struggle very much in any of the episodes, because she just seems to be super overpowered to the point where it's like, how is she so good at being a Jedi without any formal Jedi training? You know, it's not like she was reading books about Jedis or she was practicing out in the desert for all those years. She just picked it up. She is just a natural. Maybe she has a 100% midichlorian count. Maybe she is all midichlorians. Maybe she is a descendant of Big Daddy midichlorian. Who knows? But in any case, we don't know why she's so overpowered. One could only assume that her lineage is the reason why, which is hence Rise of the Skywalker. Maybe she actually is a Skywalker. There are people speculating that she may be the daughter of Luke Skywalker himself, where it is he hooked up with Mara Jade, which is another extended universe character, I guess, from the Star Wars universe. I don't know much about her. All I know is that George Lucas really doesn't like Mara Jade. But apart from that, that's all the speculation that we know about at this time. Anyway, let's go through the trailer real quick. So it starts off with Rey. She's out in the desert. You know, she's doing her kung fu thing. She's looking up in the distance. It's a kind of a cool scene, but a little bit I'll admit there were some feelings of just like, I don't really understand why she's still so overpowered. But let's just run with the premise that she is. How many times can I say overpowered in this thing? It's like a shots game. If I say overpowered, you have to take a shot. You'll be very drunk by the end of this episode. Anyway, so Well, basically, she stands out in the middle of the desert. She's looking off in the distance, and we hear a TIE fighter coming towards her. So, and she's preparing. She's listening to Luke Skywalker narrating over the top of the trailer. I can only assume that they're going to bring him back at least as a Force ghost. Maybe he's not dead. I don't know. I mean, they've changed the rules about how the Force works in this universe a little bit, so they could change some things here. I mean, maybe Luke has a new ability that makes him able to recorporealize not just as a ghost but as a real person. Who knows? I mean, it could go in really a few different ways, and that really depends on how JJ is going to play the script. Hopefully, he's going to somehow figure out a way to get the things that we wanted to see in The Last Jedi into the Skywalker, the rise of Skywalker, the Skywalker rises. Anyway, so we start with Rey, and you hear Luke narrating over top of it. We see a couple of characters coming up, and she's hearing the narration of Luke talking, and then all of a sudden you see her running away from the TIE fighter, and then as the TIE fighter gets really close, it's Kylo Ren's TIE fighter. I don't know what that ship is called, but Kylo Ren's TIE fighter, and she leaps, she jumps, she does a backflip over the top of the TIE fighter. It's ridiculous. It is super cool, but ridiculous considering that, I don't think this is even a move that Luke Skywalker has done in any of the previous episodes. So, like I said, it is just a massive stretch. I get it if she's like, some super prodigy, but man, she hasn't been trained once in any of these things. So it just perplexes me that she's this good all of a sudden. But whatever, that's an aside. I had a friend ask me, why do you always hate female-led movies? I really don't. I just want to put it out there. There are some female-led movies that I think are done really well. Terminator 2 is an amazing one. Aliens. What was the other one? I love the Resident Evil movies. I know they're so stupid, but I think they're kind of cool in that regard, and they're all female-led movies. I don't have a problem. Mad Max Fury Road, great movie. Just this one is a bit odd because Rey's character is just a little bit she's a bit underdeveloped. I don't feel like she's earned her stripes to be as good as she is. So that's where my criticism comes from that character. Nothing to do with the fact that she's female. Everything to do with the fact that her character development is just a bit weird. Anyway, we also have the return. We see Finn and Poe obviously back together, going on some mission. I'm assuming they're doing their B quest in this movie, whatever they're doing. C-3PO and R2-D2 back in this as well, which is nice to see. We also have BB-8 and a new droid of some sort, which we get a bit of a tease at the end. A smaller droid than BB-8. It looks like a bit like, I don't really know. It looks like an air freshener or something. I really have no idea what it is, but it's pretty small. We also get a little bit of a tease of Lando returning. I think that was always on. We always knew that was coming. Like Billy D. Williams has basically returned. It is kind of cool. I definitely got the nostalgia vibes when we saw Billy D. Williams on the screen in the trailer. Dude, you gotta love that dude, and I'm so glad he's back. I really hope they do his character justice and don't kill him accidentally. We also have Carrie Fisher obviously is in this movie again, and she's hugging Rey. We don't know what role she will play, but we will see. We will see. I mean, they were saying that they weren't going to CG anything. They weren't going to CG her character, but we'll see how they play this one out, and how they sort of retcon her to fit the rest of the story. And there's a whole lot of these landscapey things, a lot of fighting, a lot of shooting. No Captain Phasma. We didn't see Rose Tico. And we get to the end and we see Rey and the ensemble basically standing on a cliff looking out over the water, and while they're looking at this big monolith in the sky, we hear the cackling. Now get this, we hear the cackling of what sounds to be Emperor Palpatine. Now, you're probably wondering, didn't he die in the Return of the Jedi? Yes, I thought that's what happened, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe he's alive. We don't know. It's funny because I was talking to my friend's son about this, and he basically said, do you reckon Emperor Palpatine will be back? I mean, he's only 11, but I was talking to my friend's son about this. He's like, do you think Emperor Palpatine's coming back? I'm like, no way, champ. There's no way that he's coming back. No way. Like, why would they do that? And then they drop this trailer. I'm going to hear nothing. I'm never going to hear the end of it. He's basically going to tell me, like, see, I told you they're going to bring Palpatine back. I'm like, Yeah, all right, fair enough. Anyway, so, I mean, it's interesting. But, you know what? If they bring Palby back, I'll be a little bit excited. I'm not going to lie. I'll be interested to see how they play out Palpatine in this series. Is he going to be a ghost? Is he going to be a Sith ghost? We've never seen that before, so that'll be interesting. Now, there is... now, I did say Rose was not in the trailer, but she was definitely at the panel at Star Wars Celebration. And thankfully, man, I really, really do feel for this girl because, again, like the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, Ahmed Best, had the worst time after he made episode 1 to 3. And apparently he was on the verge of suicide because people were just hammering this guy for being basically Jar Jar Binks. And dude, it's not his fault, man. Like, I don't know why people have to go after actors this way. I get when they say stupid things in the media, like maybe you go after them, but when they're just acting in movies, it's just their job. Like, what can you do? And same with Rose Tico. I don't fault that actress for being the character that I'd probably liked the least in The Last Jedi. I think she's actually, and she was really, really I really hate the internet harassment in terms of just going after people for just art, right? Because it's not like she was saying anything political or anything like, you know, she was voicing her opinions about anything particular. She was just playing a role in a movie. And people were just jumping up and down on her, telling her like she's the worst person ever. It's like, no, she didn't write the scene. She's just doing what the director was telling her. If you want to go after anybody, just go after the director or the person who wrote the script, which happened to be Rian Johnson in both cases. Ryan Johnson, sorry. But Rion, he spelled his name like a normal person. All right, sorry, Ryan Johnson. I'm sure you're a really nice dude. I really liked Looper. Apparently it was a really heartwarming tribute as she came into the stage to basically talk to everybody at for the trailer for episode 9, and everybody just embraced her and gave her standing applause, and people just like loved her. And it's the same with Hayden Christensen when he came to the last celebration. I think there was a feeling that maybe he would have had that feeling that everybody hated him, but I don't think anybody hates any of these actors. It's just these internet people, these people on the internet who just seem to voice some awful opinions and just have so much hatred towards actors who had nothing to do with the actual making of writing of the movie. They were just kind of playing a role. And so it's cool. I'm glad that she's been embraced. I felt for the girl when she got harassed off Instagram because that was really mean. And so I'm glad she's back in the fold, and I'm glad that she knows that the fans love her because, you know, she seems like a really nice girl, and I'm glad she's been given an opportunity to be in a Star Wars movie. It looks like a few of J.J. Abrams, I think Kerry Russell, which is also somebody, she's the girl who plays Felicity, I believe. She's also in this movie as well. We don't know what role she's playing. I heard there's a few other people. There's a girl who people are speculating is going to be Lando's daughter, but we don't know yet. There's a few different characters. There's been a few screenshots of some really wild and wacky aliens coming out from this. Overall, guys, I'm not going to lie, I'm a little bit excited about this movie. I think that I feel like there's a bit of course correction here, which maybe is going to be good. And as many problems as I had with The Force Awakens, it is still a great movie, wholly watchable, apart from the fact that, you know, if you're not up to date on spoilers, in 3, 2, 1, Han Solo dies. Apart from that, you know, it was still a pretty watchable movie, even though there are some bits of it, and like each Star Wars movie has a few problems here and there, but what are you gonna do? But overall, I think if they manage to knock this one out of the park, I think the franchise will still be all right. Unfortunately, yes, the last Star Wars movie, Solo, it did really, really poorly. Apparently, it didn't make anything. What is the box office for Solo? Which is a bit sad because I honestly don't think it deserved to be smashed as much as it did. Solo IMDb. Oh wait, Solo box office. I typed that in box office. It only made. Oh, is that? No, that's not right. Box Office Mojo. This is where I go for all my box office stuff. So let's have a look. It only made $392 million, and they say the budget. They said the production budget was $275 million, but I have a feeling it's a bit more than that. So it wouldn't have made its money back, unfortunately. And I don't think it deserved to be as maligned as it did. I thought it was a fairly watchable movie. It wasn't fantastic by any stretch of the imagination. It was a very, very easy to watch movie. And I think Ron Howard did an amazing job pulling that back from the brink. I had this interesting thought the other day that after watching Into the Spider-Verse, the latest Spider-Man movie, it was an animated movie from Peter Lord and Chris Miller. Wow, that was a great movie. And that movie had a lot of great beats, a lot of emotional heart, and was just a really well-told movie. And it made me think what would have happened if Solo had just become the Phil and Chris show, like the Phil Lord and Chris Miller movie that they intended it to be. Because I think originally Kathleen Kennedy came in and said that they were being too funny or being too comical. But seeing Into the Spider-Verse, which is a hilarious movie in its own right, it also straddles that emotional tension really well, where you feel they really make those characters instantly likable and instantly empathetic. He did a great. They wrote all those characters, even all the B-line characters, like even Peter Porker, seems to get a nice arc. And it really made me think, wow, maybe these guys would have turned in a really great Solo movie if they were just kind of given free rein to kind of make the movie they think they were able to do. But I guess we'll never know. And no disrespect to Ron Howard. I mean, Ron Howard obviously turned in a good movie as well, but I just would have liked to have seen how Phil Lord and Chris Miller would have done. So yeah, those are my thoughts about this new Star Wars movie. I heard that Bob Iger, who is the Disney CEO, basically said that they're going to cool off on Star Wars for a little bit because, they've done too much Star Wars now. So they're probably just going to decide they're not going to do too many Star Wars movies I don't think they're going to do Star Wars movies every year. I think the original plan was that they were hoping to do a bit like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where they were going to release a couple movies a year. I think that was originally the plan, and really just saturate the market with Star Wars movies. But I have a feeling that Star Wars movies in general really only work well when they're a bit more spaced out. It's not that we don't want to see more Star Wars. I just think that the movies should be a special event. I think that's what maybe the consensus is for most people, is that every couple of years, if we got a Star Wars movie, that's totally fine. I don't think any of us are really they want there to be time and effort put into the movie so it has time to really settle into the lexicon. And we wanted to make, I guess, what do you call it? If you have things spaced, if you have it all spaced out, I think people would appreciate the movies a lot more. Which is a shame, because in some regards, it's a shame because I didn't mind the spin-off movies. Like, I thought Rogue One and Solo were actually quite decent movies. I actually really, really enjoyed Rogue One, which I've mentioned in previous podcasts. So I would have loved to see more of a take. But you know what? If we get the fill of Star Wars stuff in the Disney TV shows, which I'll talk about in a sec, then I think we'll be all right. So yeah, that basically is the Star Wars Episode 9 news. Now, could Luke Skywalker come back? Oh, another point is that some fans were asking if Phasma is dead, because in The Last Jedi we saw Phasma fall off the thing and she got collapsed, and I don't know how she could have possibly gotten off that starship when it blew up, but you never know. You never know, right? It didn't blow up, it just cracked in half, didn't it? So we never know what's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen with Phasma. John Boyega seems to have confirmed, and his quote was, I believe, that Phasma is dead. That is old news. Phasma is definitely dead. Actually, I'll see if I pull up the actual quote here. So his quote was, somebody asked if Phasma was alive, and John Boyega is a bit of a prankster, so you could take this with a grain of salt, but he said, old news, she's gone, got rid of her. Phasma, she dead. I don't think she's dead. I reckon she'll make an appearance. I can't imagine that they would just let us build up to that character and just let her die. Because then she'll just go down as one of the saddest characters in all of Star Wars history, just getting dispatched the way that Boba Fett did. So it's really funny, actually. Boba Fett isn't on screen in the original Star Wars trilogy for that much, but man, what a fan following that guy has for really basically saying very little or nothing. I mean, he was in Empire for a little bit, and he basically got dispatched in the first 20 minutes of Return of the Jedi. So, you know, but I don't feel like Phasma will get that kind of cult following because she hasn't really done anything, and I feel bad because she really could have been a great foil for Finn, because the reality is, like, where the dichotomy could have been is that Finn is obviously the person who doesn't believe that the Empire is doing the right thing, whereas Phasma completely believes that what the Empire is doing is the right thing. And we could have seen those 2 points of view, and maybe even had a bit of an understanding of why one believes one thing and one believes the other, right? I mean, obviously Finn's point of view is very easy to understand, but why does Phasma believe what she believes? And does she actually believe what she believes, or is she just she has to do it, you know? I think a character that did that really well was in Star Wars Rebels, where we had basically, what's the name of the freaking character? I'm having mental mind blanks, guys. I don't know. I'm being really forgetful in my old age. No, I don't think so. I think I'm just I'm spacing out. What's his name? What's his name? Come on, guys. Star Wars Rebels. What is the name of that admiral who turns? Spoilers if you haven't seen that, but I guess so. Agent Kallus. He turns, and what's interesting about Kallus in the Rebels show is that you see his ideology and why he believes what he believes, and he's just following orders, I guess, to some degree, which I think a lot of these Imperial people are. But obviously turns because he understands that he realizes that the words of the Empire are hollow because they really don't care about him. And I think that we could have had a come to Jesus moment in Phasma, in the sense that Phasma really wants to kill Finn's character, but she doesn't really get a chance. But every time she tries to kill him, she doesn't understand why he's so stubborn and wants to. She only sees him as basically a rebel scum because he didn't have the fortitude to basically do the job that he was told to do. But, you know, you could have easily had this redemptive moment for Phasma where she's been so hell-bent on killing him. Like, her obsession now is to just basically kill Finn, even though that he's just nobody, but he essentially ruined her career. And that could have been a tremendous motivation for Phasma to basically, you know, to want to kill Finn. But they never kind of really established that. And it's kind of, I feel like a missed motivation maybe. For Phasma, basically, because we could have easily had this moment in episode 9 where she basically decides that, well, I want to kill you so bad, and then she realizes, hang on, maybe I am on the wrong side of things. And we could have had a really great moment where we could have, Phasma could have been redeemed, and maybe she could have had a sacrificial moment. Well, I don't know. Like, in any case, she would have been a great character to basically get into. Anyway, so that's my 2 cents for the Star Wars trailer. Whether you love or hate Star Wars, I mean, look, if you hated The Last Jedi, then maybe you might be okay with the J.J. Abrams retcon. Oh, sorry, not retcon. The J.J. Abrams rejiggering of things, because I don't think J.J. Abrams, he's too nice of a dude. He would never have said that where Ryan took The Last Jedi was necessarily wrong. He would never say that, because I feel like they're all on the same team, and they're never going to basically say that one is worse than the other. But I feel like I definitely feel like they are definitely taking the course correction seriously. They want to save. I think they're asking. Kathleen Kennedy basically begged J.J. Abrams to save the franchise from ruin, because I feel like after the start, the Solo box office numbers came through. I think they realized that they had pissed off so many fans that they just didn't want to hurt the brand anymore. So I think they're just going to stick with JJ, keep it to what people want to see, and go from there. So let's fingers crossed. I'm cautiously optimistic. I hope they turn in a decent movie, at least on par with The Force Awakens, and of course correct some of the things from Star Wars Episode 8. And we'll see how we go. Anyway, what else is there? There's been a couple of movies that come out on Netflix which I think are excellent. So if you have a chance to check out any of them, and obviously Netflix is basically turning in some decent movies now, which I'm very impressed with. I'm increasingly impressed with a lot of the stuff coming out on Netflix. Oh, before I get to that, I just wanted to say that there was also an announcement from Disney that they're basically releasing their streaming platform in November in the US this year. So I don't know when it'll come out in Australia, but I can only presume it's sometime next year. I guess they got to figure out some of the details and stuff. But Disney Plus is what they're calling it, and that is where I was mentioning before the Star Wars TV show will basically come out on this platform, The Mandalorian, which I think is obviously surrounding the Mandalorian guards, or maybe it's talking about Boba Fett, the rise of Boba Fett. Don't really know. I haven't looked into it all that much. And but also this gets you all the other Disney properties, like all the Marvel stuff. There's also going to be a few Marvel TV shows coming out. The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is one show, which is going to be cool. I mean, obviously, like what's Anthony Mackie, which is pretty funny, and obviously what's his name, the guy who plays the Winter Soldier, will also be in it too. So that's going to be kind of fun. The whole bunch of cartoons coming out too. There's going to be a whole bunch of Pixar things coming out as well. Yeah, so it'll be fun. I'd give it a go for a year, and obviously Disney has acquired a whole bunch of Fox properties, so they're probably going to throw that into the streaming service as well. They'd be dumb not to. I believe The Simpsons is going to be in there. I don't know if Family Guy is going to be on there, or any other Fox animation shows, or whatever's going to be in there. We'll see. Honestly, guys, I just want to see Firefly on one of the streaming platforms somewhere, please. That's all I want. So yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to retail. They're going to say it's going to retail for $6.99 a month, which is dirt cheap. I think that's cheaper than Netflix at this point. So, but that's going to be the introductory price. I can't imagine they wouldn't jack up the price at some point during the course of at least a year. But that's a great introductory price. I can't wait for it to come out in Australia to try it out and see how we go. And obviously Game of Thrones comes out on Monday. A review will be coming soon, because I'm going to go through and review each of the episodes as we go through them. I'm going to see if I can get somebody to come on and actually talk about each episode with me, because Game of Thrones is life, LYFE. So it'll be a Game of Thrones podcast for probably the next few weeks. So if you don't want to listen to that, you don't have to listen to that at all. But anyway, guys, thanks for listening. The two movies I recommend on Netflix, if you are keeping score, basically, is The Highwaymen, which stars Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson. They do turn in some excellent performances as the Texas Rangers who basically did gun down Bonnie and Clyde. Spoilers, guys, if you don't know Bonnie and Clyde. But basically, the two of the most notorious serial killers in history. What I really appreciate about this movie is they didn't make Bonnie and Clyde. Essentially, they didn't make them celebrities. They did make them celebrities, but they didn't try to humanize Bonnie and Clyde. Basically, they basically made them just out to be serial killers in the movie, and I appreciated that, because if you look at who Bonnie and Clyde were, I think a lot of people, it sounded like people were trying to romanticize who Bonnie and Clyde were as these people who were standing up against the man, but in reality, they were just going around killing people for no rhyme or reason. I mean, they were killing cops, but they were just killing random people. So it was interesting to see it from that point of view, especially from the point of view of the Rangers. And yeah, Kevin Costner and Woody Harrelson turn on some great performances. Woody Harrelson is great in this too. He brings so much charm and he's so lovable. So check it out. Another movie that I saw with one of the Star Wars alum, which is Oscar Isaac, and is the Final Frontier, which is I think a Ben Affleck directed movie. Great movie. I reckon everybody should check it out. It's a war movie. It's basically about a bunch of war veterans who decide to go for, who feel like they've been maligned by society in terms of they haven't really gotten pay. They come back to America and they're not getting they gave themselves to their country, but they're not getting much in return. So they decide to go and do this one job where they go rob a drug cartel, but obviously things don't always go to plan. So I would recommend checking that out. It's a really, really good. Oh, it also stars the guy who plays what's his name? The guy who plays the Martell guy from Game of Thrones. What is that movie? Let me just tell you. He's really good. You know him if I saw him. Is it called The Final Frontier? Maybe I'm not calling it. Maybe what is it called? Netflix. It's not called The Final Frontier. Dang it! Nick? I thought it was called The Final Frontier. Oscar Isaac. Let's have a look. Oscar. That guy, man. That guy can play anything. I think he's one of the most talented. He's one of the most. What? Oscar Isaac. What? I didn't spell it wrong. Maybe I did. Let's see. What's the movie he was in? It's gonna tell me. It's gonna tell me. Triple Frontier. Sorry, guys, that's the one I'm talking about. Triple Frontier. If you look that up, really, really great movie. And it stars Pedro Pascal, who obviously in Game of Thrones was the guy who played, what's his name? Oberyn Martell, who gets his head crushed by the mountain. Anyway, but he's good. I like him in everything at the moment, so he's a good actor as well. Oh yeah, it also has Charlie Hunnam. It's a really big cast actually for such a small movie, but it's really, really fun. And yeah, I really, really recommend it. So yeah, guys, that's it for today. And I didn't have a sponsor for today. What the sponsor today? Well, I don't know. I don't have a sponsor for today. But hey, guys, it's Ali Little's wedding today. He's getting married. The young man. He's getting married today, and it's great weather for it. I look forward to hanging out with the boys again, and I will see you on the other side. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.